Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we're going to look at the astrological energies from May 14th until May 21st, as we have a lot going on over this last week of Taurus season. The sun moves through the remaining degrees of Taurus, and there are many activations now taking place and are going to change the energies as we move into not only the second half of May, but into June and July. I'm seeing the energies increase and amplify through accelerated dynamic changes. This means there are going to be new pulsing realizations that arrive. You could have some very important breakthroughs. You could feel that your energy is being lightened and that there are important advancements happening for you at this time. So I want to get right into it because I've been getting some very clear visualizations around how the energy is streaming in. And then I will do the day by day look at the astrological energies of this next week because there are many. So here is the overarching message that I'm receiving. And I do need to note that the energy I'm feeling is coming through transiting Uranus in Taurus. Transiting Uranus is now returning to 27 degrees of Taurus, making it conjunct the Pleiadean star system, which is an advanced energy in the cosmos light years away that is supporting humanity's development, growth, and evolution. The Pleiadean star system is also known as the Seven Sisters, and every year the sun in Taurus is conjunct the Pleiades. But this year, the energy is even more potent and stronger because Uranus in Taurus is here, conjunct the sun as well, and powerfully impacting what we are meant to realize, understand, and work with. That could be a jolt to your energy system, a jolt to your consciousness and perceptions. There could also be some big awakenings here around soul memories. Those out of the blue, wild, unexpected messages that come through and not only bust open where there was previously a blockage, but creates a new energy stream that leads to a story, understanding, or growth that you're meant to connect to in this lifetime. This energy is quite quantum. It is quite expansive and very chaotic, honestly. It's almost like feeling that there's all these timelines coexisting. Which one are you on? Which one do you choose? And so you could feel that your energy is a bit more chaotic as we are having a quantum revival of multiple soul experiences and understandings. This can lead to important core memories and core imprints from other lifetimes that come through suddenly. There can be flashbacks or experiences of deja vu. You could feel very restless or reckless, as well as impatient and urgent. There is a quickening in the collective energy field that also makes us feel very unsettled and can relate directly to your nervous system. So as these energies continue to come in, and yes, it will be unfolding at least until July, we're going to need to harness and practice ways of calming the mind and the nervous system even more, as well as understanding how to work with soul memories and soul fragments that show up, because it's easy to feel confused and scattered. Now, I was sitting with this energy and asking for the best and highest way to use it. And the message that I'm receiving is that the best use of these kinds of powerful incoming bursts of consciousness and new energy is to understand that it's meant to break you free from anything in the 3D that is limiting you from what you wanted to experience in this lifetime. Yes, this can be very big, life-changing energies. It can show you more of what you want to create or experience, as well as more of who you came here to be that is connected to your 5D energy codes. I'm feeling like this incoming stream of consciousness from the Pleiadian star system is deeply activating more of our self-compassion, our ability to travel with loving hearts and full acceptance of who we are without compromising that to the external world. to remain solid and true to who you are and to the energy that you want to embody in this lifetime as it relates to the purity of your soul's frequencies. I'm seeing that these incoming rays of light hold a lot of crystalline messages. And I'm literally seeing these crystals coming through and bringing us into a pure state of ourselves that has perhaps been lost. Because what I'm seeing too is a crystal that has been covered in tar or has been deeply dirtied and muddied. And of course, we know to just clean it off, right? Wash it off. But what I'm feeling is that part of this incoming energy is a reminder that you are above this time and space continuum. You have experiences on other planets, other lifetimes, other realms. And yet there are things you've always traveled with that relate to the core of your true frequency. And so for many people, they're going to start to have some very deep awakenings that will shift them onto a new trajectory of their lives. And I feel this energy is very powerful. It's almost like you receive a clear message or understanding that feels 100% authentically you and leads to restructuring a part of your life or your priorities that were not front and center. And as I tap into this energy even more, and I feel these crystalline rays of energy coming through, very high vibrational, pure, and filled with beautiful divine light, I'm seeing the energy go to the back of the eyes, which I believe is the retina. And I'm seeing the energy of these crystalline codes going to the back of the eyeballs as part of a frequency upgrade of what we are able to visualize and see that is not only in this dimension, but in other dimensions. And I'm seeing this energy bring in literally new visions around what you want in your life. But I'm seeing it also happen at a more everyday level where you could start to see things in a new way in your world, in yourself, and your experiences. It feels like a cleansing. And this has totally caught me off guard. I'll be honest with you. I'm like, the back of the eyes? That's not even a place I've ever thought about. But that's where I'm seeing the energy go and how it shifts literally what we see and visualize and the power of that. And then I see the energy also working with the back of the third eye. And in the back of the third eye, it's expanding how that third eye picks up information, stimuli, and insights. And it feels like there's this big expansion of being able to see new possibilities in your life and to understand more of what you want and what matters to you, yes. But I feel it as these incoming messages from other realms, other lifetimes, and other planetary codes. Almost like you could have a sense that you are merging with other aspects of yourself that are currently existing in other dimensions. And I'm seeing this as a very interesting connection. Okay, let me see how I can explain it. So I'm seeing it as another version of you in a more developed, evolved dimension is potentially sending you messages to your eyeballs, to your retina or your third eye. So it's your own energy field interacting with you, giving you new understandings of what is possible and helping you move forward and bust out of anything that has kept you trapped, stuck, or stagnant. Now, keep in mind, this is something that you can invite in and welcome in. This is also something you can shut down, turn off, and not interact with. You have free will and you are a sovereign energy field. But if you wanted to dial it up and bring in more support for what is best for you in this reality, in this lifetime, that's part of how I'm seeing this energy play out. It would be similar to telepathy with yourself in another dimension, but it feels bigger than that because it's also connecting to the Pleiadean energy field, and that's supporting the evolution of this timeline in this lifetime. So I guess you could say, okay, I'm seeing it as the triangle. All right. So visualize yourself at one point in the triangle, and then the Pleiadean star system as another point, and then the third point is this more evolved, advanced version of yourself in another dimension or realm, all interacting, all creating a new network of consciousness that is lighting up and asking you to free yourself from anything you're done with in this timeline so that you can advance and move on. And so this energy is really strong in the late degrees of Taurus in your chart. 27, 28, 29 degrees of Taurus is where Uranus is moving through and is opening up and breaking free anything you've been resisting, denying, or putting off. And that's because that Taurus energy, being fixed Earth, will not budge, change, or move unless there is a conscious desire to do so. And I'm feeling that what we are moving through at this time is activating our own awakening process to the point where the resistance could feel too heavy. Anything you've been pushing off or pushing away could feel like it's taking its toll. And here comes Uranus shaking up the apple cart and saying, this needs to change. It is time for this part of yourself, for this part of your life to have an evolutionary experience. And it's interacting with another part of your own consciousness to support doing that. So that could be something here to rewrite or to see in a new way, that there is a part of you that's ready for a dynamic change and shift. And even if you, in today's reality, eating your Cheerios and scrolling through your phone, think, I don't want that, I'm not ready for that, here comes another aspect of yourself that's moving you along. And I feel too like these are big changes that are affecting us globally and collectively, and that there's going to be an increase in world developments and changes over the next few months. But as we move into the second half of May, there are going to be new levels of awakening that we feel physically, spiritually, and energetically that are tapping us into these new visions that we are meant to connect to, because it's helping to pave the way for all these new incoming energies that will continue throughout the rest of 2025. Okay, so now I'm seeing this energy. This looks really beautiful. I'm seeing this energy as a bridge of connection to support you moving forward. And I feel that bridge is expanding into the rest of 2025 because we're going to have some big defining events that unfold over the middle of this year, take us into the second half of the year, and continue to lead us forward into the next chapters in our lives. So another way to visualize this energy, again, I'm seeing it as very crystalline, but it's like a crystalline bridge between another aspect of yourself into today's reality. It feels quite invitational, and it's also, it's a bridge over the divide, over the division between that 3D and 5D energy fields. And so there could be more parts of yourself that are being elevated at this time and moving across that bridge into more 5D expressions that you weren't ready for until now. Okay, I feel like there's a lot more to say about this, but I'll do a separate podcast on it because I need to get to the transiting aspects of this week. But that is basically what I'm seeing here. I hope that resonates or supports anything you're feeling, that you are being guided to move forward, and that guidance is happening for your best and highest good at an evolutionary level. And it's definitely working with the supportive, loving energies that stream in from the Pleiadean star system. Okay, that's a lot. I'm excited to do the next episode for you and see where that energy goes. So now let's take a look at exactly what is happening here day by day as we move through the middle of May. So on May 15th, that sun in Taurus is sextiling the north node in Pisces at 25 degrees. Which means it will also be trining the north node in Virgo at 25 degrees. So here comes that sun in Saturn, giving you a clear understanding of what you need to take care of, where work is needed, where a practical focus is required. The sun trining the south node is also going to show you what is complete, where you could have clarity on matters you need to take care of, organize, or process. And as you do so, there's a feeling of relief that comes about. And so as the sun sextiles that north node in Pisces, you could feel relief for a completion, for something that you let go of, or moving away from whatever has felt heavy and burdensome. Now, because the sun sextiles that north node, you're meant to be released and freed, and this energy can unfold over a few days. So keep in mind that we look at the exact transiting aspect as it occurs on a certain day, but you could be feeling the energy build up to something at least a few days beforehand. So that's on May 15th. Then on May 16th, Venus in Aries finally clears her shadow territory from the retrograde and also moves past the eclipse point of the March 29th Aries solar eclipse. So Venus is now moving ahead finally into new territory, but she has been rebirthed and renewed. Venus in Aries is about where you're ready to be more intentional with what you are creating and putting effort into, because Venus in Aries wants to follow her own spirit. She wants to move into something that uniquely calls to her, that lights her up and gives her a sense of, yes, this is me, this is what I'm all about right now. And typically she can move ahead rather impulsively. But after the retrograde journey that she's been through, where she had a new Venus star point, she interacted with the North Node and Saturn in Pisces, she had that conjunction to Neptune in Aries, and sextiles to Pluto in Aquarius. This is a renewal unlike anything she's had before. So there could be a sense of, I've deeply changed. I see myself in a new way. There could be an uprising in your confidence, in your independence, even a new sense of being brave and honest with yourself. So I feel that this particular journey here that Venus has been on has been a very big deep dive. But over this next week, you could feel the shift and change even more. Keep in mind that Venus in Aries is in an ongoing trine to Mars in Leo throughout May. And so Mars is also done with his retrograde journey. So here we have the feminine and masculine energies working together confidently and courageously, ready to move ahead and create based on what you desire now. So this means you could have a new sense of, yes, I want this. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to finally take care of that one project or something that was on the back burner. It could feel easier now that it just lines up and flows. You have more natural energy for it. So this is a beautiful positive development here. It's also great for relationships when you consider Venus is divine feminine, Mars is divine masculine. This is great for those energies aligning both internally and externally as they now support each other and travel together in harmony. They will have their exact trine on May 22nd at 16 degrees. So we will keep discussing this Mars-Venus trine, but I hope it's supporting any of your creative projects, anything that you love or want. It's going to give you that bold desire to go for it. And this is also a beautiful time for beginnings. Anything that was delayed, canceled, or stalled out, it might come back around and you could feel a yes, I want that. Yes, I want to do that. Keep in mind that because both planets went through very intense retrogrades, you're also going to have realizations around what you don't want anymore, where you could even surprise yourself and be like, I'm not even drawn to that. I'm not syncing up with that. And you could realize that you have some strong no's around what is no longer aligned for you. So again, that's May 16th, where Venus clears her retrograde shadow and moves across that March 29th Aries solar eclipse point again. And on the same day, Ceres enters Aries, and this signifies a new beginning point here in the matters that Ceres rules. Now, I just did a podcast episode for you on Monday, May 12th, discussing the themes of Ceres and how it relates to her new start in Aries. So this is going to show up as these new beginnings in matters of the heart related to family, children, parenting, those you take care of, those you love. And in Aries, there's also the reminder to take care of yourself. Prioritize what you need that helps you feel strong in yourself and where you're at right now. Ceres has an extended stay in Aries because of her upcoming retrograde that starts in August at 16 degrees of Aries. She will be covering 2 degrees to 16 degrees of Aries in your chart with that retrograde and will stay in the sign until March 16th, 2026. So she brings in even more focus to the Aries areas of your chart that are here to move you forward, beginning a new life chapter that also honors what you've been through, what you've healed, what you've decided. But I feel this is an exciting new part of our spiritual growth. I feel that there's something really big about starting an area of your life based on a deeper connection to your authentic self and making choices that align with that, as well as taking the actions that align with that. Because it's one thing to talk the talk, right? But this is about understanding, I'm ready for this. I want this. This is who I am now. This is what's important to me now. And that's because not only is Ceres in Aries, but we also have Saturn and Neptune that will be in Aries plus Chiron in Aries. So just know that there are new seasons beginning here, and they will certainly last into 2026 and beyond. So now on May 17th, the sun will be conjunct Uranus and Taurus at 27 degrees. And this is the last time for 84 years that the sun will be conjunct Uranus in Taurus. And that's because Uranus moves on and will be in Gemini next year when the sun is in Gemini. So here we have the sun conjunct Uranus, activating even more of that Pleiadean consciousness onto our planet, and also working with Hygeia, the asteroid Hygeia. Asteroid Hygeia is connected to your physical healing needs, your body's energetic makeup, self-care, physical themes, body issues, fitness, and other ways that you develop that relationship to your physical self. Hygeia is known to be ruled by the energy of Virgo, and as an asteroid, she is more of a specialist. So this is an important time to pay attention to what your body is feeling and holding, where you need more care, perhaps new healing modalities, more exercise. If you're getting the message to try something new or to branch out and experiment or see what else might be supportive for you, that's very strong this week because not only is the sun conjunct Hygeia, but so is Uranus. I do have another video for you on YouTube discussing asteroid Hygeia, and it's in the playlist about asteroids, goddesses, and dwarf planets. When we look at this lineup between the sun, Uranus, and Hygeia, you could have new messages around what your nervous system needs, as well as what your mind needs to calm and relax. I know you've heard me say it before, but I personally love acupuncture. I love anything that works with energy meridians in the body. There are things you could do such as EFT tapping, Jinshin Jitsu, hand holds, and energy flows, Reiki, cranial sacral therapy, and on the list could go. Keep in mind that with this lineup occurring in Taurus, it brings our attention to areas of the body that Taurus rules, including the throat, neck, upper shoulders, thyroid gland, and vocal cords. And keep in mind that these energies will work with you more personally if you have planets or points here at 27, 28, 29 degrees of Taurus. So basically, May 17th is a big impact day. With the sun conjunct Uranus, there are more surprises, shocking developments, of course, more movement in the earth, more earthquakes and volcanic activity. The tectonic plates are going to be shifting and moving even more around this time. And there tends to be more solar activity whenever Uranus is highlighted as well. So we will need to have practices that calm us, that bring relief, and that allow us to work with whatever our nervous system is picking up and feeling, as well as allowing the mind to relax and calm. I think as these energies continue to increase over 2025, we're going to just need more rituals and practices that ground us, that bring us to our center, and that offer a calming practice to work with regularly. But I think it's also really notable that this is the last time the sun is going to be conjunct Uranus and Taurus for 84 years. And so the energy is going to be even stronger. Okay, then we move into May 18th. And May 18th has Jupiter in Gemini sextiling Chiron in Aries at 25 degrees and squaring the nodes of fate also at 25 degrees. So this 25-degree point is going to be more active here, especially in the mutable signs and with the fire signs. So let's break this down. Jupiter in Gemini sextiling Chiron in Aries is bringing about new information and understanding to what you've been working through and healing. That Chiron in Aries is asking us to go deeper into our self-identity and understand what's below the surface that we've been holding and carrying. Chiron in Aries takes you into some vulnerable parts of yourself, asks you to love and accept these parts of yourself, and to soften your energy as needed. When Jupiter in Gemini sextiles Chiron, this is that new information, new understandings that you've been learning along the way that actually bring about a sense of spiritual growth and understanding. This is a very positive way of seeing whatever themes you've been moving through and whatever's been coming up for you that maybe you've been pondering and trying to figure out, what do I do with this? Or what's the best way to understand this or to learn from this? That Jupiter in Gemini will bring through something for you to consider from a higher perspective. Jupiter is about our spiritual growth and how we can actively apply that in our daily lives in Gemini. And at the same time, this Jupiter in Gemini is squaring the nodes of fate, which brings up choices. What is for my best and highest good? What takes me forward and brings me into more of what I want next? And this is where the energy of Jupiter squaring that north node in Pisces is asking you to look at what's the higher choice. What's the better choice where I feel lighter, I feel relief, I feel a sense of, yes, that would be so easy. And then you contrast that with Jupiter in Gemini squaring the south node in Virgo, which is where you could feel greater responsibility or burden, something you have to figure out and work through. And so this square from Jupiter is bringing up what's your best choice now that advances you energetically, intuitively, and spiritually. And you'll find that it also shows up as connecting to an emerging part of yourself that Chiron in Aries is embodying. Because Jupiter is also connecting with Chiron, what heals you? Where are you being asked to move into new territory that recognizes how you're growing, what you've changed, what you've moved through? Choose that. Choose that for yourself. Choose it from a place of willingness to be better or to do something in a new way. And then understand what is holding you back, especially from the critical mind, which that south node in Virgo can represent. The south node in Virgo can show you where you are holding guilt, stress, a sense of, I haven't done enough, this isn't good enough, I've got to do more, I've got to do better. It keeps you working and churning. And this is going to be an area coming up here of, but where do you move on and choose the fact that you've done your best, or you've learned from it, or you've grown from it, and to follow the messages of compassion and peace. Maybe there's something here where you just need to let yourself off the hook and be like, okay, that's done and gone. Or, okay, I did my best. That experience is over. Okay, I'm ready to turn the chapter. That's part of this energy. And that's where Jupiter is highlighting what is the higher choice here. Jupiter in Gemini brings about two choices because Gemini is the energy of duality. And so you could be wrestling with two options, two directions, two choices. And Jupiter is saying, choose the higher one, choose the unknown path that supports your growth and deciding to move ahead from a more healed place. With strong Jupiter in Gemini, it might be interesting to listen to yourself talk about something or to write it out to gain clarity and understanding. Maybe that is simply writing out a list of pros and cons, discussing it with a friend, but to get some kind of feedback that helps you see something objectively. Do you ever get spinning in your own head and you realize maybe you're overly focused on something, or the energy feels too tight mentally, feels like not just anxiety, but almost like you can't see it any other way? Jupiter in Gemini is going to invite you to move out of your own brain, out of your own awareness, and see it from another angle. that could bring about empowered clarity. So this is all happening on May 18th. And also on that same day, a fast-moving Mercury in Taurus squares Mars in Leo at 13 degrees. And so this Mars in Taurus is moving ahead, getting things done, tending to practical matters. And then here comes in this loud, excited Mars in Leo, and there's a spat, a disagreement. You're doing it wrong. I don't want it that way. No, this is what I want. No, I don't want to do that. So this is where a disagreement can arise here on May 18th, just as this Jupiter in Gemini is bringing your attention to, again, that higher choice and moving in a new direction. And so someone could really disagree with what you're wanting or choosing. There can be more anger and pushback when Mercury squares Mars. So it's not the best day to bring up anything important or to make decisions if you're feeling pissed off or angry. Basically, it's not a good day to be in the group chats, as people could certainly be more triggered. Then on May 20th, we have the final day of Taurus season as the Sun in Taurus sextiles Saturn in Pisces at 29 degrees and then enters Gemini later on May 20th at 2:54 p.m. Eastern Time. So as that Sun sextiles Saturn in Pisces, there is a strong completion energy present here that is about relief, rest, downtime, exhaling. There could be a sense here of looking at what you've worked through, how you have mastered an area that's been important to you. And this is important because Saturn is in Pisces at that last 29 degree point. I mean, this is not only the final degree of Pisces, it's the final degree of the whole zodiac wheel. And this holds deep significance because Saturn has been working through what needs to be closed out, what you have to karmically complete and unravel, what you're ready to release and move away from. But Saturn always requires diligent effort. It's taken work and focus. You've had to apply your spiritual practices or your energy tools. You've had to do the work because that's what Saturn requires. Now in Pisces, it's always nebulous and uncertain, and you're just trusting what you're feeling or the messages you're getting around something. That Pisces energy also allows us to prepare for the new that starts in Aries. And so this could be a time when you really come to understand more of your self-worth and self-value based on what you've been ending and moving away from. And that is part of the gifts of Taurus season, is to be stronger in our cores, to travel with self-love and self-acceptance regardless of what the external world is experiencing. So as Taurus season ends, you could have, again, a deep sigh of relief. You could feel a transition is unfolding based on how far you've come. And there could even be a void at the final degree of Pisces. And that is in perfect order. That is beautifully divine because at 29 degrees of Pisces, it's a pure and complete ending that allows for the new to start when Saturn moves into Aries, which will happen on May 24th. So you can see that's just around the corner here. So look at what this Saturn in Pisces is asking you to recognize in yourself, what you have been deeply trusting, what you have been completing and finalizing. There could also be significant endings at play. There could be something you've been sitting with or moving through that's a big deal, a big transition in your life, because that Saturn in Pisces is about endings. And so that can stir up a lot. Of course, there can be many emotions around that, but I feel that what is also settling in is a deeper recognition of your own mastery. And that is something that Saturn wants you to honor, wants you to own and move through the world with a recognition of your mastery based on your life experiences, life events, what you've had to go through in the physical, in the 3D, that has shaped you and formed you into more of who you are. So Saturn in Pisces is a big deal right now, especially until Saturn enters Aries again on May 24th. And if you need some time time to just be in that energy, to quietly hear any messages that Saturn has for you. It might actually be very rewarding, especially in terms of what you're intuitively feeling about parts of your own life journey. Now, as we move into Gemini season, the energies really pick up next week, and there's going to be a lot more moving us forward. There's also going to be greater lightness. So if that helps you get an idea of how to work with the energies right now, especially if you're feeling that Saturn in Pisces quietly or intensely, just know that Gemini season brings up the next steps, the new possibilities, and lots of movement that's going to take us into some very interesting new adventures. Gemini season is quite big this year. As Saturn moves into Aries, there are positive connections with Pluto in Aquarius, and the Gemini new moon brings about some very interesting new starts. So, of course, we will discuss that in next Wednesday's podcast episode. So, to summarize, the frequencies are going to be accelerating and increasing over this next week. The second half of May is really going to pick up the pace in terms of how we are awakening to more of our multidimensional selves and the gifts we have access to, as long as we are willing to bust through our own limitations and constraints. Plus, this is a time to deeply recognize what you have moved through over the past 30 years, because that Saturn at 29 degrees of Pisces is completing a 30-year journey. And I know that can be quite a period of time to reflect upon. But it could also show you, what you've taken care of or moved through at a soul level, and Saturn wants to recognize you for how you have grown and evolved. I hope this final week of Taurus season reminds you of all the ways you are loved, supported, and cherished for being on this wild human journey. And I also hope you feel a deeper connection to all of your brilliant aspects of your soul that are in play and existing in other timelines and realities. Just recently, I released 4 free guided meditations for you if you would like to sign up to receive those. They are called the Soul Bliss guided meditations on my website, totally free. 4 different types of guided meditations in clearing ways of centering your energy quickly, and also one that guides you to clear your 5 personal planets. So I'll put the link below the podcast if you want to check those out and if those would help you be more calm and grounded at this time. As always, I'll be back every Monday and Wednesday for a new podcast episode. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find all of my latest astrology courses and programs at mollymccord.online if you're interested in diving deeper into your own astrological imprint. So check out those offerings there. There's a lot of courses from beginner to intermediate, so you can continue to advance your astrological knowledge. Take good care, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.